If you're tired of surface-level history and want the truth behind the front lines, subscribe now. Today, we're breaking open a forgotten piece of the past that most documentaries skip entirely. This is not a story about elite weapons, secret programs, or legendary kill counts meant to glorify violence. This is about adaptation. About how a single unofficial decision on a fog-covered battlefield near Mortain quietly dismantled German doctrine and proved that wars are often decided by whoever learns faster at ground level. In October 1944, German infantry believed fog was safety. Visibility was supposed to neutralize snipers, limit range, and protect movement. That belief cost them dozens of men in under 2 hours. What happened that morning didn't rely on superior optics or advanced training. It relied on removing one basic limitation the enemy never questioned. And, well, once that limitation disappeared, the battlefield stopped behaving the way German commanders expected. That's what we're unpacking today. Why German doctrine depended on weather behaving predictably. By late 1944, German infantry doctrine treated weather as an equalizer. Fog reduced Allied air power, limited long-range fire, and forced engagements into close quarters where, experience really mattered. This wasn't naive thinking. German optics were excellent, often better than American glass, but they were built around the assumption that lenses would be exposed only briefly and wiped clean when needed. Under persistent fog, that assumption failed. Moisture condensed inside scopes and binoculars, blurring images and destroying depth perception. German units adapted the only way doctrine allowed. Pause movement, reorient, wait for conditions to improve. That worked when both sides were blind. It failed the moment one side wasn't. The terrain south of Mortain was, deceptive. Hedgerows, shallow fields, and scattered farm structures created these natural approach routes German units had to use. American forces occupying elevated stone buildings could observe these lanes, if visibility allowed. German infantry believed fog removed that risk. It didn't. American sniper doctrine emphasized terrain ownership over aggression. Fields of fire were mapped in advance. Distances were estimated and memorized. This preparation mattered because it allowed engagement without constant adjustment. The shooter didn't need perfect visibility. He needed consistent visibility. The solution wasn't engineered. It wasn't approved. It wasn't even written down. A standard-issue military condom stretched tightly over the objective lens of a rifle scope created a waterproof barrier. Latex didn't fog like glass. Moisture beaded and ran off instead of condensing. Visibility wasn't perfect, but it was stable. That stability mattered more than clarity. While German optics shifted between usable and useless, the American shooter saw the same picture minute after minute. That allowed anticipation, and, anticipation allowed control. German squads reacted exactly as training dictated. When a man fell, leaders stepped forward. Radio operators knelt to transmit. Runners moved to relay orders. Each action made sense. Each action exposed the most important person in the group. The shooter didn't fire often. He fired deliberately. Leadership disappeared first. Communication followed. Movement slowed. German units didn't panic. They stalled. Stalling in open ground under unseen observation is, frankly, fatal. The fog amplified the effect. Sound carried poorly. Muzzle flash was invisible. Suppression fire achieved nothing. German soldiers stopped trusting the terrain, and then, well, they stopped trusting their instincts. The German doctrine, you see, assumed that problems were symmetric. If optics failed for one side, well, they failed for both. But that assumption, unfortunately, killed men. Every attempt to solve the engagement relied on either restoring visibility or, overwhelming firepower. But neither was possible. Artillery required observation. Air support, meanwhile, was grounded. Waiting only benefited the side already in control. And by the time withdrawal was ordered, the same open ground that punished advance, well, it punished retreat as well. This engagement mattered because it revealed something systemic. The Americans didn't win because they were better trained or better equipped. They won because they adapted immediately. The solution required no logistics, no factories, no approval, none of that. It spread simply because, well, it worked. This same principle applies everywhere. In survival, preparedness, or even modern conflict, removing friction matters more than perfect solutions. Stability beats clarity. Speed beats elegance. The side that adapts first defines the rules. By late 1944, Germany didn't lack intelligence or engineering skill. It lacked time. Solutions moved slower than the battlefield changed. American forces, by contrast, tolerated imperfection as long as results improved. After Mortain, fog stopped being protection. Weather stopped being neutral. German units hesitated in conditions they once exploited. That hesitation compounded across the front. This is how wars are actually decided, quietly, incrementally, by people close enough to the problem to solve it and free enough to act. If this kind of frontline truth matters to you, subscribe to Warfare Frontlines, share this with someone who thinks history is just dates and maps, and let us know in the comments what overlooked battlefield lesson you want broken open next.